We are live. This is Emil Fisher with another episode of the BCTL Podcast. I'm here baking some cookies with my buddy Joel Bane. For anyone that doesn't know, Joel is the founder, head coach of Snake Pit USA, which is, I think, like the biggest catch wrestling organization in the world right now.
Yeah, and it's not like bragging. But it's just, well,
Yeah.
it's just it is statistically. I mean, we've not it's based on fan following, fanfare, and sales. I don't think anybody can touch us, and that's just a statement to our belief in quality control and putting out the best stuff. I think, and obviously, I'll talk. We're always, we're going to talk about Sean during this because that's a coach we've shared, and we both love Sean. Snake Pit US, I've always believed, and one of the reasons that we're the biggest. I'm not really. I know you didn't really ask me a question, but the reason we do what we do to push that marketing is that's how you get the fans, bro. It's like running marketing anywhere else from any other business. You got to go hunting for them to show them the beauty of the art, and because they're not coming for you, they already think they found everything. And there's a lot of great stuff, and my background. I'm a hybrid. When I roll, I'm very hybrid, but I love judo. I love jujitsu. Catch just is my favorite. That's all. I love everything. I love grappling. Period. But it's my responsibility to push catch as far as I can, as hard as I can in the mainstream. And the only way to really do that is to invest every spare dollar I have to push that into marketing to get it out to people. Just say, hey, what you doing is cool, but hey, check this out. It might help out your game. And I know it will, because I don't know how many times I've had students come in and they're like, dude, I went back to and good dudes, brown belts, black belts, friends of mine for years. They go, I felt like I went back to my gym and had a secret weapon. I said, well, the secret's coming out because
Hey, I lost you there for a second, Joel. Joel, I lost you for a second. Hey, Joel, your audio cut out. Your audio cut out. I need you to leave and then try coming back. I can't hear you. So, for anyone that doesn't know, Joel is a BJJ black belt under Carlos Catania, and he is, a very high level grappler. He actually initially started learning a lot of grappling under my coach, Sean Doherty. So it's an interesting. I would almost say he's almost like my brother in training, because the fact that you got Sean, who has taught me a lot. Sean is very. Hey, you there? Hey, can you hear me? Joel, your audio is completely gone. I don't hear you. Nothing. Nothing. Try leaving. Yeah, there you go. Try leaving altogether and coming back. So, anyways, Joel founded this organization called Snake Pit USA. Snake Pit's got sites all over the world. They are one of the biggest grappling organizations, I think, period, as far as just things that are not jujitsu. And let's see if we get him back. Hey, I can hear you now.
there we go, brother. Sorry. It's funny. We were talking about Sean and he was the one calling me just now. And I thought I turned off all my notifications, which I turned off all of them except for my freaking phone itself. Because I don't get a whole lot of phone calls. I get messages, emails, messenger, stuff like that. And God bless him. I called him a few minutes ago, something completely unrelated. And then he's just calling me back. So it was a bad time. I apologize, bro.
That's fine. That's fine. I was just telling the audience about how Snake Pit USA, as far as non-jiu-jitsu grappling organizations, I think you guys have like one of the biggest followings in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, we're close. We're closing on 500,000 fans if you look across the board between the different platforms. The Facebook page is over 250,000. Obviously, I have my coach's page is like 40,000, and we lead everybody on YouTube. We're closing on 16,000 subscribers there. Nobody can touch us there. We actually passed CSW and everybody else there. And I know, and I love Eric Paulson to death. He was one of my old coaches, and I'll never say a bad word about him.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm very competitive. So when I see those numbers, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to smash your numbers.
We're actually going to have Eric on next Sunday.
That's awesome. Well, please give him my regards. We talk very rarely, but when we do, it's always very cordial and it's nice. It's very supportive of one another, and I always be grateful for what he was the one that truly got me to. How every coach kind of gives you a different way to, or different tools on how you're going to be a coach one day, on how you look at things and how you kind of come up with your own ways of doing things or invent your method. And he was the one that kind of got me a little more creative. And Sean was a big part of that too, but Eric was the one that kind of got me out because he would do some wild stuff. And I'm more of a transition geek like Sean, but he would do some really cool stuff. Some of it was flashy sometimes, but I would think about, okay, that was a little flashy for me. But if I can take what I learned from Sean and even the old jiu-jitsu catch I had years before, but mostly Sean at that time, and put that together with what Eric was doing, I felt like there was more things that we could keep doing as long as we kept those catch wrestling concepts as critical as they are, to keep them invoked in the whole program. Because I always focus on Billy Robinson's concepts. And what we do, our program focuses on that, no matter what. And Billy's not even my biggest lineage. I've never used him to bounce off everything. We dedicated Snake P USA to him because he was the one that gave us permission to use the name.
Yeah,
and I love Billy to death. He was very close to especially my oldest daughter. He spent time with me, and we had some good talks many times. Sometimes at an old Applebee's out in Englishtown, New Jersey, where he'd be flirting with the waitresses a little bit, but it was funny because he can get away with it. At his age back then, it'd be hysterical. Never anything inappropriate, but just funny stuff, man. Funny stuff. I remember one story where we were sitting at an Applebee's, and the waitress comes up, and she's a cute young girl, just doing her job. And he goes, how many bottles of wine would it take for you to go back to the hotel with me? She goes, probably at least 2. And he goes, well, I'll have 2 bottles of wine, and I don't care about the meal. Let's just focus on that for now. And if I said that, I get punched in the face. I wouldn't say it now, but if I was single and I said that, I get punched in the face. And she just died laughing. He could say things. I'll give you another quick story real quick. When we were at the same restaurant, different seminar, he just loved that place. It was close to the gym that we were training at there. And there was a girl that kept walking by, and it's me, John Potenza from Old School Grappling, my old business partner from Snake Pit, and Jake Shannon and Billy sitting at a table together, and this young girl kept walking by. And he's under the impression that we keep staring at her every time she walks by, right? So he grabs her, not like in a vicious way. He goes, hey, honey, come here. And he's like, do me a favor. Go get me a beer, but don't bring it to me for 30 minutes and just stop coming over here because I'm trying to tell a damn story. And every time you walk by, nobody's listening to me. So they just laugh. It was hysterical. That's the way he was. But maybe when we're old, we can get away with that. But if I did that, my wife would kick the shit out of me.
Yeah, that's right. So I want to get right into the meat and potatoes of things, because I think that because people think of catch wrestling as anti-jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Having learned a lot of what I know about catch from a mutual source of information, from Sean, I feel like a lot of really good people, a lot of guys that really are good at, finishing and doing all that good stuff, happen to also be BJJ guys. They happen to also have, roots in jiu-jitsu, and many of them are BJJ brown or black belts, as you mentioned.
There's no purists. There's no purists anymore.
At least not competitively, not guys that are actually doing something with it.
Right, and not even in BJJ, because if you just did a judo throw or wrestling takedown, you're not a BJJ purist either. So I get an email, I get messages all the time saying, well, how come there's no catch wrestlers in ADCC? Well, I see them all winning by heel hooks, and that's not judo and that's not jiu-jitsu. I see them winning with front headlocks, and John Danaher has a system with what? Enter the system of leg locks, enter the turtle, fighting from the turtle, the front headlock. That's all catch wrestling 101. So, and that's not a knock on him. He's very smart for relabeling and repackaging that and doing a great job, and his guys are kicking ass with it. But we've gone full circle with things, But there is no purists. You're not going to see a pure catch wrestler because you're not going to see a pure BJJ guy. If he knows a takedown or two, whether it's judo or catch or amateur wrestling, guess what? He's not a purist either. So it's a bullshit question when people ask that. It really is. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Oh, I agree with you. You're giving me the answer that I wanted you to give me.
Yeah. Dude,
Like,
we're all – that's why I always say, Snake Pit USA is a part of the grappling community. I love jiu-jitsu, I love judo, and like I said before, my job is to say, hey, just check this out, and it'll help. If it doesn't, first of all, prove me wrong. And I get the stupidest messages. I go through. I've been trying, especially with this damn lockdown going on, where I get all these messages, and I've for the first time in a while, I've really made an effort. Because I had other people do it for me sometimes, where I really go through the messages, on Go ahead, boss.
Yeah, no, keep talking.
We're good? Okay.
Yeah,
so I get a lot of messages, and it would ask me things like, what was the last ones? How come catch wrestling submissions don't work? And I'm like, what submissions are you even talking about? Because every submission that exists in jiu-jitsu exists in catch wrestling and more. So it's a stupid question, but you know how the fans are, and there's fans and there's students, and Josh Leduc was one of the ones who said that, and I think I've grown a little closer to Josh when he said that, because I was like, dude, you just spoke like some biblical shit right there as far as grappling goes, because people don't understand that any asshole can be a fan. What are you doing to invest in it, and are you really a part of it? Because if you're not a part of it, I don't want to hear your voice. I don't want to hear what you have to say. You think Facebook gave you some big voice to talk your crap, and it didn't. It just, you jump in here while we're busting our ass to make something special for you to enjoy, and they want to run their mouth and use you to get their name out there on their little platform, and I just ban them all. It's like deturning a shrimp. It really is. It's like taking a shrimp and pulling the turds out. And you're going to have a bunch of them. I'm running media this week and marketing stuff, and I have to go back through all the comments. Most of them are in Spanish right now. We're at to translate. And people are saying, why would you promote such violence? And I'm like, why would you watch the video if you don't like it, you moron? Why would you even comment if you don't like it? Move on. Move on. You don't understand what we're doing. You're not a part of this culture. Why do we do that? So I guess what I'm getting at, man, is we are one big mess. We really are. We are one big mess. I just think credit has to be given where it's due technique-wise, and that's where I get a little upset sometimes. Because if I'm in a gi and I use a judo throw, even with my catch wrestling skills, even if I use the catch wrestling grip, I will give credit to judo because I'm wearing a damn gi, and we know we don't wear a gi in catch wrestling. It would just be stupid for me to say, "Oh, it's my catch wrestling right there." No, it's not. It's not. It's stupid. I'd be a moron, and you got to give credit where credit is due. But so you always hear me bitch about and hear me out on this because hopefully it'll make sense in some way. I've said it before. All the catch wrestlers complain about, don't say Kimura, don't say Kimura. I'm so over that crap and tired of hearing it. I don't give a crap what you call it. I don't care if you call it Gaiuku Udigarami. I don't give a crap. Reverse Udigarami. I don't care if you call it a double wrist lock or Kimura. I don't give a crap. If it has more than two names, it works. So that's all we really need to focus on, right? And we talk about now the big thing is and it was nobody talked about this crap until John Danaher started pushing Ashigarami, right? Ashigarami is just a Japanese term for a leg entanglement, which makes it sound fancy. It's exotic now. It's sexy, right? Got to make it sound sexy. It's like taking your Pinto and putting a big exhaust on it. It's the same damn shitty car, but we got to look at the fundamentals of where it came from. Does it work? Yeah, it does. Because it's been working for hundreds of years and people are finally figuring it out. But to me, there's different control levers that we use in catch that are getting overlooked because people didn't have the opportunity to have coaches that you and I have had. And you've had both variations where you've had, I know you've worked a lot of leg locks with guys like Josh, who's big into that. And I love Josh, and he's definitely sharp on his leg locks. And guess what? It works. So if it's working, now hear me out. If it's working for you, don't fix it if it ain't broke. But at the same time, look where it came from. Because if you don't look where something came from, you can't go forward. You can't. It's like history. If you don't look where you came from, you can't move forward. And nobody wants to read a book. Nobody really wants to dive into this stuff. The term ashigarami is an old Kano jiu-jitsu / judo term because it was never even known as judo around the world until 1925. It was just Kano jiu-jitsu. In 1925 he was already calling it judo, but the rest of the world didn't recognize it as that until 1925. So that's where the term comes. It's an old judo term for leg control or a leg entanglement. But we're taking that, and a lot of jiu-jitsu, these youngsters, I know you're not like that. And most of these, if you're an open-minded grappler, just happy to be a part of a grappling brotherhood, which hopefully most of us are. I know I am. You look at that and take it for what it is and say, all right, cool, I get it. But don't do that and then call it BJJ. Don't, because you're using a judo term. And now you're using catch wrestling techniques and calling it jiu-jitsu. And that's where I start getting pissed off, because it's the same crap we've been dealing with for years. And I'm saying that as a jiu-jitsu black belt that loves jiu-jitsu. Dude, if I do a jiu-jitsu move, I give credit and say I learned this from so-and-so in BJJ. You know, you got to, and people don't want to give credit where credit is due because they're so obsessed with themselves and putting their name out there and putting themselves first instead of their style and carrying on a legacy that's bigger than they could ever be, no matter how many fans they ever get. You know, you have a chance right now. You're on a roll right now from hell where you're going to build a legacy, and you're going to do. And you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to have that legacy. But nobody's going to come back on these little things. They're going to look at the big picture, right? So it's kind of the same thing. You got to give credit where credit is due, and I know you do, and I know a lot of people do. So please don't think I'm knocking everybody, but these youngsters, these blue belt hipsters coming up, they think that they're drinking that Kool-Aid, man. It's like. Another reason I don't want to put a gym, because I'll probably kill half the students and kick most of them out. But because when I do a seminar, it's different, because I know I need to have my military bearing. I'm an old school military guy, and I need to represent the coaches at that school and I'm always going to give my best, to the point where I'm almost passing out. And you can ask Sean, I go a little too far sometimes, but I've always wanted a Snake Pit USA seminar to feel like an 80s rock arena concert. That power, that explosion, that energy, that excitement. And then we slow it down and break it down to that detail, and then crank it back up and drill like psychopaths. You know, and that's what really separates our seminars from all these other catch wrestling seminars. I think it's very special. And I never want to lose that. But did I answer your question? I hope I'm not rambling too much. I don't want to be one of these rambling idiots, because I can't listen to those assholes. So
let me just. So here's what I'm doing with these, just to kind of give you an idea. I saw Josh Leduc doing his Facebook Lives, and I was just like, that is just the coolest idea. Because right now you got a lot of people stuck at home, a lot of people that aren't able to go out for whatever reason. And there's a lot of negativity. And I'm just trying to put something positive out there. And if somebody wants to tune in, watch this, enjoy it a little bit, learn something, great. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring guests on that I think have something special to offer.
Well, I'm humbled by that. Thank you so much for considering me.
Of course, man. You're the founder and head coach of Snake Pit USA. That is fucking huge. And you're going to have perspectives that nobody else in the world have, just because of the fact that what you've done with this. So I want you to ramble. I want to let you talk. And if people want to fast forward on the replay, go right ahead. I don't care.
Yeah, you like that because I have no filter. That's why you and I are going to get along great for a long time, because we don't have filters.
Exactly.
You got it. Dude, there's so many things we can dive into. You tell me which way you want me to go, and let's go.
So one thing I thought was interesting that you said, and I want to kind of delve into this a little bit. So you said that if you're training in the gi, you can't call it catch wrestling. I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. Enough. Okay. I'll tell you why. I learned from Sean some principles of driving my knee into the other person using their lapels. So I grab the lapels, I pull them forward as I drive my knee into their face or into their chest or whatever. And I'm using the principle of always doing damage, of ADD. Yes, I'm using that principle, but in the gi. Right. Now, is that a jiu-jitsu technique or is that a catch wrestling technique?
Well, it's the same thing. I can turn it around and say, what do they do in the ADCC? If they're doing leg locks, they're not doing jiu-jitsu. You're looking at catch wrestling with no pins. You know what I mean? So we can. It's. You're right, and we're both. Neither one of us are wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a culture where us guys that have been doing this for a few decades have to come into these kids and say, hey, question everything first of all, and then do your own damn homework and do your research. Don't accept everything at first heartbeat. Dig further and question it and find the right resources and question them. Everything's on Google. Everything. You can't lie about your resumes and bios anymore. You can't do this crap. This isn't like old school guys. Like, who was that moron? Not that bald-headed guy who claimed to wrestle with Carl Gotch, who was there for like a weekend. You know, it's not like that anymore. You can say stupid stories, and you can look up anybody and find their fights. You can find anything you want. You can't pull that crap anymore, you know? So,
yeah.
And forgive me, sometimes I lose my train of thought because I have. But you were saying, help me out. What were you saying, please?
I'm talking about catch wrestling in the gi.
Yes. So when I teach, okay, so here's a good example. This will, I think this links us together in a way. When I teach catch wrestling, I teach it pure as I can, and I have 4 different lineages with catch, and I push that and combine them. But always go back to Billy's concepts because I thought his concepts were the purest. Because he was so detailed. And he had that OCD like I did, which allowed me to take that military OCD I had for so many years and 20 years and really infuse that into my coaching, you know. And some people can respond to that and some people can't. But how bad do you want it, right? Because that 1 inch does matter. That I have a 1 inch concept on submissions. If you can't get the submission in 1 inch, you don't know the submission, you know, because you sure as hell can't break it. If then they should be squealing like a pig. They don't care if their girlfriend and mom's watching after that. They're worried about whether they're going to walk tomorrow. So when I teach catch, it's pure. When I do jiu-jitsu, I mix judo in there. I mix catch wrestling in there. But it's a BJJ class. But you know, here, let me say this. If we dive back into the history like we're talking about, catch wrestling is a huge influence on BJJ. I mean, Matsuo Maeda, it's a fact that he traveled with Ad Santel, the same crazy bastard who went to the Dakota and won all his matches against the judokas as the light heavyweight champion of catch wrestling, and then brought some of them back to San Francisco and taught them. Then they went back to Japan, and they were known as the founding fathers of freestyle wrestling in Japan. So there is catch in BJJ, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. It doesn't matter. It's still, you can't kill something that's there, and you're doing it, whether you give it credit or not, it still exists. You know, it doesn't matter. If I say my couch isn't here, it doesn't disappear. It's the same. It's just stupid. I don't understand it. But when I started catch, I still teach a lot of jiu-jitsu when I get a chance because I enjoy it. Because sometimes, unfortunately, and this doesn't mean I don't love catch, but when I get to teach a jiu-jitsu class or a judo class, for me, it's a treat because it's almost like a break, you know. Because I'm on the catch job 24/7. So it's catch sometimes, unfortunately. And this doesn't mean I don't have the same passion, and I love it with all my heart. I really do. But I also love, like I said, I love jiu-jitsu, man. But I love mean jiu-jitsu. The same stuff you're learning. I guarantee the same stuff you learn. And I've seen you roll, and you're a sneaky bastard. I like it. It's entertaining. I really like it. But it's not nice. It's not meant to be nice. We're fighting. I'll break it. If I get a hold of it. And in training, I'm a different guy. But I've always gone almost full board psycho in certain matches where even when I was amateur wrestling, my old coach Flip would be like, Joel, it's not a fight. Relax. This is not an MMA fight, you know. Relax, you know. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is when I teach these things, but I give credit when I teach guys how to cinch. Let's say it's an Achilles lock. I'll take an Achilles lock and teach different types of reaping and different legs. I don't use the term ashigram. I mean, if you guys are using it, I'm just busting your balls. It's cool. I mean, it's a fad right now. I get it. And a lot of things come and go like that, but we've been doing it for a long time. And dudes were doing it 100 years before that and 100 years before that. And history repeats itself. We go full circle with like even the ADCC. Things have gone full circle. People want those old school submissions, and catch is back bigger than ever on a platform like that, but is getting the credit? No. But they also are coming to me, and this is not bragging, but video sales are off the charts because everybody's home, right? And when I say off the charts, it's highly successful to the point where my wife doesn't have to work, because people want that catch wrestling edge. They want something, they see the truth in it. When you do a catch wrestling technique, you feel it. It's so smooth and so pure. And if you don't feel it, you probably got the wrong coach. And I guarantee you with Sean, there's a couple times where you'd learn transitions and certain things. You're like, why the hell didn't I think of that, man? Because I know you've been around for a while. And you'll do that catch style sit out or switch, which isn't that high school hairy bullshit, where because there's submission awareness now. It's not where you're sticking stupid stuff out that doesn't belong, and you feel that fluidity of the knee pivot or pivoting on your feet that these kids have no idea what it is. And you hear all these guys say, "Well, catch is just amateur wrestling with submissions." That's not true. That's why if that was true, Dan Severn would have beat Hoist Gracie. It's just not true. It's ridiculous. And that's no discredit to him. He was a good fighter, but it's just facts are facts. So when I teach, I'll sit there and say, all right, let's mix in a little of this. It's still a jiu-jitsu class, but we started with judo because you know me. And if you're a butt scooter or a guard puller, I don't give a crap. We all bust each other's balls, and it's all in good fun. It's kind of like the military, where we tease the Marines for being this, or the Army for being that, the Air Force for being this. We tease each other, but when it's the same brotherhood if you look at it. But if somebody from the karate field comes in and starts trying to tease us, everybody gets pissed off together. You know, tell me I'm wrong. It's like when a civilian comes in and says, "Oh well, screw the Air Force, son of a bitch. Did you serve? Shut your mouth." You know what I mean? Because it's the same thing. We grapple, we tease each other, but it's all in good fun. It's important to be a part of that brotherhood, but you got to give credit where credit is due. And a lot of these young kids refuse to do that. They think everything on a damn mat is jiu-jitsu, and that's just not the truth. It's not. You could be doing damn freestyle wrestling and not even realize there's so many things, there's so many techniques out there you can explore and build your game upon. And that's really what I try to sell, man, is building somebody else's game. No, you could be great and maybe even way better than me, and that's cool. I'm old and busted. I'm busted up. I'm not old, but I have a lot of mileage, and I've never taken very good care of myself. And Sean, and he can attest, we both destroyed ourselves. But when you can show them that little extra detail and say, hey, this is a jiu-jitsu class and I love BJJ, but let me show you this thing that falls in with BJJ. Why? Because Matsuo Maeda fought in like 1,900 catch wrestling matches. I'm sure you learned a couple catch wrestling moves. There's so many pictures of him doing catch wrestling. And he taught the Gracies, and I'm going to go out here on this, and the Gracies will get pissed off at me for this. I really don't give a shit. If you know me at all, I don't. But there's no proof that they even trained with him once. There's no pictures. Find me one picture of Matsuo Maeda with any Gracie. It doesn't exist. But they do have a coach under him that I believe they did train with, who was probably really legit, who took them a long way. I have no doubt about that. And I'm not trying to knock them completely, but there was a lot of thug type stuff going on down there at that time, where they felt the need to take over with the system and push it. And it's in the history books. There's guys made videos on YouTube, whether you want to believe it or not. But when you start using newspaper clippings, it's kind of like hard to manipulate that. And then when people run to the defense, like they're like great grandnephews, that shows more problems, because they're like, oh crap, people know now. We better do something to cover something up. And Sean could probably tell you some even weirder stories. You probably heard him about some of the stuff that went on down there. I'm not going to repeat any of that right now because there might be some kids watching, but it was a thug life mafia style type thing in Brazil at the time. And my goal has always been, my main objective, to be honest, Emil, was to basically take catch wrestling back to Brazil with affiliation schools in Brazil. So I run a lot of marketing in Latin America on purpose, because eventually we will have Snakebite USA schools in Brazil, I promise you. And their economy's coming back. They were under a socialist control for a long time, and I used to go down there. I had an old friend down there. I used to go down there, and I trained down there a few times. And there'd be days where you can't go to the bank because they're on strike, or the truckers are all on strike because they're not getting paid, because it's the same kind of crap we're dealing with now in a different way. And hopefully we're freeing up soon, but people don't understand what that's really about until you see it. And it's like, man, you can't do nothing. You can't do nothing. You're trying to go to a gym and you're just some stupid gringo, and they think you got money. Next thing you do, you put a leg lock on one of their instructors and they start crying, saying, no, or, no. They start saying, no, this, that, you can't do that, stuff like that, whatever. So again, to get back what you're saying, I think you made a great point when you say, okay, if I do a catch move in the gi, I'm doing catch wrestling, and I'm going to agree to disagree with you, and maybe you'll see it my way. Maybe don't. I don't care. I love you no matter what. But the fact is, there is catch in jiu-jitsu and there is judo in jiu-jitsu, whether people like it or not. There is there. It's funny when people say, why is there no pure catch wrestler in the ADCC? Well, there is no pure BJJ guy anywhere. So it's a stupid question, because if you know a judo throw and if you know a wrestling takedown, you're not a BJJ purist. Simple as that. You're not. So these guys that are doing catch wrestling submissions, which you see more and more. And look at Marcus Puccetti. He'll put the gi on and out wrestle these guys. You know? And he's better with the gi, obviously. And I actually like watching him with the gi because I like how humble he is. I think he's a great competitor. I'm a fan of his. But a submission is a submission. Doesn't matter where it comes from. A submission is a submission. If it works, you're going to see it in every style. You know? And it's hard sometimes to call it what it is, but it's the same thing to me as saying, now, Emil, if you taught me a submission and we were sitting there and maybe it's something, because there's so many possibilities, right? Or maybe even a different setup. Maybe I know the submission, but you teach me a really gnarly setup. I'm like, dude, that was freaking cool. When I go to a seminar and I try to replicate the seminar or the technique that you taught me, I will take the time every single time to sit there and say, I learned this from Emil Fisher. And I'd like to share it with you guys. And if you want to learn more from him, you can ask anybody. And I've done almost 100 seminars around the world now, and that's not, people have done more, but I'm a little picky. I'm a little picky about where I go. And Sean's been helping me a lot because I've gotten really burned out on traveling and doing that. But you got to give credit where credit is due. I think this younger generation is missing that. You know, does that answer anything? Is that kind of at least my opinion? And I know what you're saying, man. I totally do.
Great information. So, like, it's just, I think that because Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was born from a hybridization of catch wrestling and judo, essentially, because you're saying Mitsuya Maeda was a catch wrestler.
Sure. Well, he came down. We go back. If we go back further, Jigoro Kano, he compiled 4 to 5 different styles of jiu-jitsu and went back to his favorite style, which was already called judo at the time, or basically meant judo, before 1882, before he launched the whole judo thing. By then, he was already a professor at his school, and then took it from there. So it was several styles of jiu-jitsu there, which formed judo. So there's so many things, even more things going into BJJ, right? But they were effective. Right. They were effective.
So, I guess here's the point that I'm making. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is an amalgamation. It's almost like the Jeet Kune Do of grappling martial arts. You know, take what is useful, discard what is not, type of thing. And you see guys that are BJJ guys that have never learned from a catch wrestling source using catch wrestling techniques and using judo.
Yeah.
You see all of that. So why is there, apart from the marketing aspect, which actually I understand perfectly well, and apart from the cultural aspect, because the reality is that a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, between you and me, are bitches. Like a lot of
them. Yeah. Well, yeah, it goes back to the Kool-Aid. Yeah. Well, I think I know what you're saying. Correct me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is, when I go into a friend's school and I put on the gi, there's times. Here's a great example. When I went down to Florida years ago, probably a decade ago, I had been away from BJJ for a little bit, but I had been studying heavy. This was probably around the time I was still with Sean. Heavy catch, heavy judo, but the judo had a ton of newaza. It wasn't ippon. Nobody gave a shit about ippon. It was that old school, judo. So I walk in the gym. I think I was technically a brown belt in BJJ at the time, but I didn't have my gi with me. I'm visiting an old friend, and it's a Henzo Gracie school in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And if you know me, when I come into a gym, I do believe in that martial arts respect, for your instructor, for yourself, and for your students. So I came in there. I went to the back of the room. I warmed up with everybody. A couple people recognized me from Snake Pit USA, and I shook their hands, just said hi, and I said, "I'm just here with a friend, man. We're hanging out, working out." And this is my old wrestling coach who was there, and he was on the verge of getting his brown or black belt at the time. Now he owns a Henzo Gracie School in Lake Worth, Florida, but at the time, so he had a coach. This is kind of a funny story. He had a coach that looked at me with my belt and assumed that I was something else because I was borrowing his blue belt at the time and his gi, which was way too big for me, even for me, because he was, and you can ask Sean about Santos. Sean knows Santos very well. He was a 315-pound Division I All-American out of Cleveland who moved like a damn cat. He was just a freak of nature, but he was my training partner for those years because we were the heavyweights, right? So, and if I get off topic of the way you asked me, please forgive me and just correct me. But what happened that night was I was very polite and humble. And the head coach, who was a 4th or 5th degree black belt, he was a Russian guy who was filling in for the owner. I think he was 4th degree. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But he wanted to roll with me. And I think he was just going to smash me, and it didn't go in his favor. And here he is. His ego's been annihilated because he sees the belt, right? He sees the belt. So this is what happens, dude. The class is over. He couldn't catch me anything. I caught him in probably a few things. But I don't believe there's winning and losing in training. I just see this training, so I didn't think much of it. So I go back into the change room, and now we got no gi next. And I'm like, I just want to train with my buddy. That's the whole reason I'm there, is to train with my buddy and have fun. This guy is pissed. We don't even warm up. He sets the clock at 8 minutes and says, I want to roll with you again. And Santos starts laughing because he knows how good I am in the gi. And he's like, you're 10 times better without it. He goes, this is going to be brutal. So, and it was quite brutal to the point where he threw some things around the room and cried a little bit and actually left the gym for a couple months. And I was actually nice at that point. I was very polite, but there's a stigma sometimes, man. And maybe I got off topic. I hope I didn't. Am I on point from what you asked me? Please forgive me if I'm not. My memory's shit, man. I actually have dementia. So, and it's way too soon for me to have it, but I do. And possibly Pick's disease, which means my damn brain's shrinking. So I don't know what the hell's going on. So I try to keep up with conversations.
You're good, man. If I want you to change what you're talking about, if I want you to shift direction, I'll cut you off. Don't worry about it.
And I appreciate that, because this is your show, and I'm just here to be a part of it and support you. And I'm humbled to be here. So you take the reins.
No, man, anytime I got a guest on, my attitude is, it's a little bit different than maybe some other podcasters. The idea is it's your show. It's the guest's show. I'm just here to kind of, help you guide along a little bit.
Well, we'll help each other. Don't worry.
You were talking about this guy down in Florida.
Yeah, but what was your point, though? Because I can take this further.
So my point was that the jiu-jitsu culture is a weird one. And that when you come in and you start using catch wrestling techniques, or you have a catch-like attitude.
Yeah, they don't want. Oh, thank you. Got it. Thank you so much. Right there. That's all I needed. So here's the thing that I'm trying to get at. Here's a guy who's no doubt very skilled. Even though he was a complete scumbag of a human being, I have no doubt that he was very high. As far as a coach, he shouldn't even be a coach with his attitude. He was a complete shitbag. I don't even know his name. I guess he had done a fight in the UFC. He sucked. He was a 4th degree IBJJF black belt, and that's hard to do. There's less than 100 in the nation. Even my coach now is finally a 4th degree. There's less than 100 of that in the nation. And for somebody to act like that, the way he temper tantrums, it was throwing Gatorade bottles around in front of his students after getting whooped. I think I neck cranked him like 6 times and put him in a couple different positions. And I would just takedown after takedown. And he would start butt scooting, and I'd leg lock him. And he had no idea what to do against any of it. And I felt like I was rolling with somebody made of porcelain. And that's what I'm getting at. Sometimes we go into schools, and it's hard for me, and I know it's hard for legitimate guys who really appreciate the rough and tumble style, not rough and tumble, but the roughness. That's different, right? The roughness of catch. I like it because it's rough. I'm a glutton for punishment. You got to be a little sadist masochist to really enjoy catch. You got to be able to be willing to dish out pain and take pain. But what the hell are we doing if we're not doing that? Because we're supposed to be practicing fighting, no? And if I'm not callousing my body by you putting me in something tough and maybe me fighting a little extra long and grinding that pain. And then if I tap, especially in practice. I don't give a shit. I hope my students catch me. I can't stand it when these black belt coaches are like, well, I haven't been tapped in so many years. It's been a while for me too, but I'm waiting for it. I want it because that means I'm succeeding as a coach. And that means I'm spending enough time on the mats with them because conditioning will only get you so far. If you do 8 or 9 rounds or more, 6 or 7 minute rounds, guess what? You get tired and your students start catching you. And if your students aren't catching you at that point, you probably suck as a coach because you're not teaching them how to go after it. They're too scared of you. Don't have the confidence. You got to work on that part. So there's different aspects, and you're not coaching. You're their psychologist. You're their friend. You're their everything. You want to do that. You want to be there for them, but you want them to be better than you. Any coach who doesn't want their student to be better than them is an epic failure because there you have no legacy. Your legacy dies when you die if you don't want your students to be greater than you ever were. And to do that, sometimes you got to sample things that are truly already there. We have to try. We got to work in the judo. We got to work in the catch, and we got to be a complete grappler and hit people with stuff they don't understand. And they're going to. The longer we do this, things are going to keep going full circle. We're witnessing it right now. I mean, look at the entire, like I said, the Danaher system. Some guy asked me if he copied my DVD series. I'm like, I don't think he did, but we have the exact same DVDs. So I'm like, I don't know. He's a very smart person, and I'm not going to say anything negative about him because he's producing champions. But I'll tell you what, if you and I had 4,000 students, we'd probably find a couple good world champions too. I mean, they're in the biggest city in the United States, at the biggest gym in that city with thousands and thousands of students. Think about a high school. You have 3A, 4A football teams and sports for a reason because there's more talent when you have a bigger student body. So you have more to dive into, and then you select the athletic ones and push them a little harder, give them this, give them that, and watch what happens. And that's hard to get to, obviously, but he obviously has a solid system. I have no clue where he ever learned it from. He's obviously not a stupid person, and it has absolutely nothing to do with his education from whatever university. It's completely different. I'm not a stupid person. I score high on IQ tests all the time, even when I forget what the hell I'm doing. But it's not just that. It's like Billy used to say, it's learning how to learn and understanding how to use your mind to learn concepts, and take those concepts and evolve with those concepts and branch them out to a never-ending story of a plethora of techniques. Because a concept to me is universal, and a principle kind of applies to one technique. Maybe does that make sense? Just to me. Yeah. And everybody's gonna have their own interpretation of that. But if I say, Emil, we're gonna roll today, and I'm your friend, we're equals. I'm not your damn coach, but just remember, fucking heavy hips, light feet, bro. Heavy hips, light feet. Well, that means everything. That's everything from sprawling to riding. That goes everywhere. Heavy hips and light feet, and they will carry you in every position, and they'll start looking for a way out sometimes because nobody, like I always bring up the high level grapplers. These guys at these high level tournaments aren't necessarily going to make a mistake, but you can force a reaction. You can force an entanglement throughout transitions. Transitions are where we attack, and the best grapplers.
We got a surprise guest.
Oh boy, here we go. Who we got?
Hey, Sean.
You son of a bitch.
What's going on, guys?
I'm going to do the Predator thing right now. You son of a bitch. Dylan, they got you pushing paperwork.
So we got a really interesting question that I think each of us have a different kind of outlook on. We got a question from Rocco Maurer, who actually trains at Strong Style.
Rocco!
That's a good name. You're going to be
Rocco's asking, and I'll read the question. On that point, how do you use catch attitude during training and not piss people off? I've been taught some catch techniques, but worry about using them on some people because they will get a bad attitude towards me. So I'm going to give my answer, then I want you guys to give yours.
Good.
My answer to that question is simply put, you can't not piss people off, but guys that understand catch and that have that sadomasochism that Joel was talking about won't really care that much. So, like, I remember when I first started rolling with Sean, every time he'd shin ride me, I wanted to punch him in the face, but I didn't because Sean was my coach and he was teaching me and I understood what was happening. Joel.
Well, it's callousing the body. And Sean will tell you this because we used to talk about this in the old days when he was coaching me heavy 2-a-days for years. Those things we did with the cross faces, we didn't go neon belly. We went neon face. It was a different mentality. And to me, I embraced it because when we would send guys into tournaments, it was a joke because they were so gentle and pathetic. The stuff they were doing, it wasn't the gentle art. It was the freaking porcelain art where you could just smash it because there was no threat of pain anywhere because you were pushed each other so hard and calloused each other's bodies to a level where nothing hurt anymore. And I think that's what we're missing in a lot of the jiu-jitsu schools. I think it's why Sean and I like Carlos so much because he does the same. He's nasty. He'll neck crank you with the gi and with ruthlessly. And but it's a matter of having the courage to callous your body. But there's always going to be people that do this for different reasons. Obviously, they do it because they want to get in shape. But guess what? I don't care why you do it. I train everybody exactly the same. If you don't want to be a champion, that's fine. But I'm going to give you a champion mentality. That's it. Because if you don't want, I want you to have that. Because that's the only way you're really going to get that confidence is training. I don't care if you compete. I don't give a crap what your diet's like unless we talk about it or something like that. But you got to push them. But I know what you're saying. It's like we were talking about. And Sean, I'll shut up in a second. I'm sorry. I don't mean to ramble. Because I can't watch this trash when people were just rambling and let the other dude talk. It pisses me off. I go somewhere else. But it's like, short point, it's all about callousing the body. If you're not callousing your partner and pushing them, you're setting them up for failure. You're putting them in a position to lose because if you think their opponent's going to be nice to them, you're a freaking moron, especially at the high level. They will get ripped and they will get destroyed and cross-faced and leg locked. And if you don't do it to them, you're not preparing them for success. It's like the military. If you're not being pushed and ready for combat, you're being pushed to go die on a battlefield. You're being prepared for failure and you have a false sense of confidence.
Yeah, Sean?
I concur with what both of you guys said. Only thing I would add, so the question is, how do you apply the catch wrestling mentality with your training partners, right? I would, because of the mixed bag of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world, I remember when I got out of the military in 2010, 2009, when I first started going to schools and training, I would be told I was rude and that I wasn't allowed to do certain things, like all these things we just talked about. But this is the way I've always trained, from Ken Shamrock to John Saylor, Joel and I running the team in New Jersey. That was just the way it always was. That was my reality. That was my jiu-jitsu. That was my judo, and that was my catch wrestling and my sambo. It was all one, and it was about war, and everything I ever learned was for the no holds barred world. My jiu-jitsu, my catch wrestling, everything was hybridized for the no holds barred competition ring. So that was just my reality. So nowadays, like with my personal students, you have to do it. Emil, you had to learn the ripping and the grinding and the hooking. What did I tell you? It wasn't until you would push back with your eyeball on my elbow that I was satisfied. And you do it now. Yeah. You used to get very pissed off when we did this. And what did it do for you? It made you a better grappler because it kept you more calm in hairy situations. So when it comes to the mixed bag of grappling with BJJ guys or whatever, what I do is I just follow the rule of consent. May I touch you? May I touch you roughly here?
Well, and grappling, no means yes. Okay. Because I'm helping them. I'm not raping them. I'm helping them.
This is all
true, though.
Stop fighting me. I'm trying to save you.
Another way to look at this, and this is just for me, because I have a very combative type mentality when I teach guys, and we talk about I tell my guys to visualize ripping it off. Literally put it in your head, and hopefully they don't get PTSD from it, but to visualize breaking the joint. Don't do it to your partner, but get to the point where it's locked in, hold it, they tap, give them a chance to escape the right way. If they don't, put them right back in it. But
and if you're an empath like me, I imagine how it feels and I want to vomit.
But I've always believed, okay, there's always standards in all that we do. But if I'm always training sport, nothing, I love sport. I love watching it. But if I'm always training sport, I can never take my mind to a combat mentality because that's a step up that my mind's never been. But if I'm always training at a combat killer mindset, I can always come down to sport and have fun, but you can never take your brain to a place it's never been. If you take it somewhere high, you can always come back down, and that's why I think we should be pushing each other that hard, Is mother's milk the actual submission? Yes. That's one of my favorite submissions. That's a Paulson favorite, but I go ahead. Go ahead. I saw it.
It's just funny because if the person wants to be a competitor, if my training partner wants to be a competitor, if they have any aspirations for being a competitor, I'm a mean son of a bitch when I'm rolling with them. If it's we got like a guy at Strong Style, Brad McCrillis. He's I think 60 or almost 60, brown belt. Very very nice guy, good pressure, good whatever. I'm not looking to.
Joel, you would love him.
Was that?
Okay.
Joel would love him.
Yeah. Joel would love him, but here's the thing. I'm trying not to hurt him.
Sure.
You have to be like Varro or
Brad. But hey, Emil, Brad wouldn't be offended if you did though.
He wouldn't be offended, but I might hurt him.
Well, you say he was 61. Dude,
but he would take it. He would take it, and he would be offended if you didn't.
Yeah.
I would like him.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset. The point is that I'm not gonna approach him with the same ferocity as I would, a 20-something blue belt.
Yeah, we got to use ethics. It's just simply, the right measure, to the right person at the right time.
Absolutely, it's true, and especially when you're in different environments. You guys have your gym where you guys know everybody. And I have, the only place I really train as far as coaching regularly is down at Dan Bocelli's down at Razor's Edge in South Jersey. So those guys know what I'm going to do when I roll with them. But I expect them to do the same thing to me. If they don't cross-face me in the next week, and I laugh when they do it because I don't care. I enjoy it. It gets me excited, not in a sexual way, but it gets me excited. And Sean's going to say something about that, but it gets me excited where they're doing their freaking job. Their job is to be mean to me as I am to them. I'm not bullying them. They better bring it back. They better return the favor. They better be twice as mean. It's that mentality. If they go outside and start getting mugged, they're not going to be like, oh, I better be gentle. No. Yeah, my wife got into a fight with me up in out of a country concert that I took my daughter to, and I'm not sober at the time. And if you're sober, I don't care how tough you think you are. You can't fight, especially if you see me drink. So I'm falling down, and she comes flying out of nowhere. Just somebody who's done a little bit of catch with me, a little bit of judo with me, and has a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. She cross-faced somebody with a flying cross-face and knocked a dude completely unconscious with just a cross-face. And I'm like, it's
Anastasia.
She's wild, man. But there's simple things like that. People can't handle that. They just don't know how to. You gotta love the elbow in the eye socket. I like that. But it's like you said, where you go, I think it's important where you are because, Sean, you know this, and Emil too, when we do our seminars, exactly what we're talking about right now is hard to get out there. And it's important to get out there and make sure they know why we're doing this. We don't roll a whole lot of – if we have time, I love it when we roll at the seminar, especially with the coaches that host the seminars. I love spending time with them on the mats. We usually don't go like psychos or anything like that because the coaches usually don't try to treat you like they're Super Bowl. It's the young kids that want to treat you like they're Super Bowl. And you got to watch them because they're not going to ask you questions. They're going to try and tear everything off recklessly. And they're usually the most dangerous ones as far as just pure training goes when you're just trying to get a workout. But I do a thing where, like we were talking about the porcelain guys, the business elite that do BJJs. And that's not everybody, but the business elite that come in there for a workout and that. I'm sorry, this is still why I don't own a gym because this is a certain way we train, and God bless you guys for being able to do it at your school, and some schools can do it. I guarantee all the Snake Pit schools do it, or Snake Pit USA. Sorry, I hate it when I just say Snake Pit. It's Snake Pit USA because there are other Snake Pits, but it's something you expect in our schools and our seminars. But I think we explain it pretty good, Sean, why we do it. It's callousing the body. You have to callous the body for combat. It's the same thing as callousing your mind. And if your mind's not ready, you ain't gonna do shit anyways. It doesn't matter how much technique you do. If you ain't mean and nasty deep down inside and ready to hurt somebody,
right,
you ain't gonna do
it.
And
if they're gonna complain about the, the ripping. Well, let's go do a pull workout instead for the mind.
Oh my gosh! Well, then they'll run from you if you do that. I think most of our guys almost tried.
So, Joel, I want to know what inspired you to start Snake Pit. Like, at what point you decided Snake Pit was something that you wanted to do?
Oh gosh, it wasn't even me, bro. And it wasn't Potenza either. Like I said, credit where credit is due, right? I was competing still at the time, and still I was starting to fall apart, but I was still doing pretty well in a couple last tournaments. Nothing huge, like just Nagas here, and Grappler's Quest was starting to die. But I love doing their takedown tournaments because I go in there and win them pretty fast. I would literally just show for the takedown tournament. Most of the guys don't have to pay for it if they're in another division. I would pay for the takedown tournament and then go in and win that. But I had a friend who I was working with in the Air Force who was a prior Navy nuclear engineer, and named Stephanie Sirocco. And she's actually on our website as our fitness person. Even though Anthony Argyros has kind of replaced her as our main fitness person, she was a big influence who was pushing me. She was my conditioning and nutrition coach, because everybody has to have a coach in whatever thing you're doing. We don't have it all figured out. So she came to me one time, and she was running all these websites with like anything from fitness. It was kind of, it's weird, you're gonna laugh at me, because there's like she was training mostly like female fitness competitors and women that just had children and getting them back in shape. But it wasn't about the money, but she's like, when I started this, and she's making, by the way, she's making like $30,000 a month just off a website. I'm like, how are you doing that? It's crazy, right? But she goes, why don't you do it? She goes, you have the background, you got so many different styles. She goes, I don't know much about this stuff, but I've read your bio and I've looked at a lot of these other websites, and I don't see it. And she goes, I know you personally. I know your military style of teaching. I've seen that where I was as an instructor for many, many years. And she goes, do it. And I wouldn't listen. And Sean knows how stubborn I am. I was like, no. So I'm not doing it, because I felt like it just, I'm very introverted. So, and I've gotten better at it, and it's not like a disability or anything like that. I don't need the limelight. I don't give a crap. I love sending Sean to go do seminars because he deserves that. Because he came before me. He was my coach. He should be out there doing a lot of this stuff and getting the credit, because without him, Snake Pit USA doesn't exist either. But she was the one who sat there and said, okay, she goes, if you don't do it, what are you going to do next with grappling? And that kind of stuck with me. I was like, well, I have no idea. Do I just keep rolling forever? I don't know. And
I don't believe in destiny, but Joel, this was like Snake Pit was in you a long time ago. I'm glad she brought it out. But it was, dude, like Joel was the student who kept notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks, details of stuff that I forgot I ever fucking said, or shown or whatever. Without Joel, I'll forget what I know sometimes. But both your guys, this is where another way that you guys are very similar. You guys have an OCD work ethic that's unmatched. You are two people who, no matter what, are destined to do great things with whatever it is you're going to fall in love with. Luckily, you guys found this. Joel was always my right-hand man. He literally, like our friendship and him dragging me out because I was going through tons of surgeries and things like that, and I was losing my mind. I was on 8 different medications, and if it wasn't for the one focus of Joel's OCD and constantly grabbing me, Joel says, he talks a lot about how I did things and this and that. No, it was basically his hand was shoved so far at my ass, and I was a puppet, and he was the ventriloquist. He got out of me everything. He brought greatness out of me that I didn't know I had. I mean, he's the one that really made me fall in love with coaching and teaching and things like that. And for me to see that, it didn't surprise me at all. Something like this to come out of. I mean, when we first started training together, and I was teaching him Shingi Tai Jiu-Jitsu, he's like, "Can we call it Shingi Tai catch wrestling? Let's just, let's." Yeah, everything was about catches. But the funny thing is, that's identical what I said to John Saylor when I first started under him, because I came right from the Lions then. I was like, can we call this Shingi Tai shoot fighting?
I remember you saying that.
Like Shingi Tai catch wrestling team. And but I gave him the answer. I was like, no, Joel, this is Shingitai Jiu-Jitsu. We have to call it that, but there's catch wrestling is in it. So
we were doing the high level judo with a ton of Newaza with a plethora of catch wrestling, which was something that some people never get to experience. It was very special, and we had a wild group that will never be replaced. Ever.
Right. Even our weakest guy was tougher than most. Well, we had guys. We took guys that.
Hold on. This is why, because Sean would fight everybody. You had to literally do an MMA fight with Sean, and it was no holds barred, and he'd probably kick the shit out of you because he's been doing longer than all of us. And we would circle up and just. That was like an initial. It wasn't just the. Now Sean put me through the old line.
Blood in, blood out, I say.
That's what I say that shit too. So, we had some crazy videos, man. But it was really hard for guys to come in there and be a part of us because we were such a close knit group during those couple years. And we would do things. I remember where a student would come in and we would literally shut down the class almost and start doing stuff that was still functional, but not even grapple. Remember the yoga ball thing like that? And somebody ran out like Sure Dog and says, all these guys do is yoga balls. Well, you weren't even a student.
Well, now you see every jiu-jitsu guy on yoga balls doing exactly what I was teaching back in 2007.
You were doing that way before that.
Yes.
Way before that. And now it's a fat. And again, credit where credit is due. Nobody wants it. Everybody thinks they invented something special, and they're the flavor of the week. And nobody gives a shit. So
I got a question for you guys. This is something I'm hearing you guys agree on this, and I kind of disagree with you guys. I just want to throw this out there, right?
Give me.
So, okay. Let's say you got, I don't know, let's just pull out a random jiu-jitsu guy. Let's say Marcus Buchecha has never seen a leg lock before in his life, and he's training, for Worlds or whatever. He's with his training partner, and he grabs his partner's ankle and his partner taps. And he's like, that was interesting. And he starts to play with that, he starts to play with that and develops a little system of ankle locks. And he goes out to World and he wins matches with it. Did Marcus Buchecha at that moment win with catch wrestling, or did he win with jiu-jitsu?
Well, the catch wrestling, it's like.
Did he steal the concept?
Well, if I put on a gi and find a different way to clock choke somebody with a neck crank, what am I doing? I mean, it's.
You're doing catch wrestling.
Yeah, I am in a way, but to me, catch wrestling does not. Elio Gracie said himself, BJJ is with a gi. It's on Google. Anybody can look that up. So there really is no gi BJJ. It's just no pin catch wrestling. But you're talking about obviously with a gi. Now, it's funny that you mentioned that because I actually teach the Achilles lock with the gi, and I cinch it. And it's twice as painful when I cinch it with the gi. It's even worse than it is without the gi. Because of where we put it, we don't put it around the wrist. We put it deep down in the bicep and the forearm where there's no space, and it feels like it's breaking in half. And people are like, oh, nothing's going to break. Want to bet? And it's absolutely gruesome. But what you're saying is the same thing as, okay, if I did a judo throw. If I learned to throw, but nobody taught me the judo throw, is it judo? Yeah, you just discovered it you can discover things several different ways. There's only so many ways to do things, no matter what. That's why all the different martial arts have so many similar techniques of submission. But there is no other style out there that has the prominent leg locks of catch wrestling. Even Steve Scott said it, Sean, and correct me if I'm wrong, who was a two-time Sambo national champion. And he said the leg locks in catch are where it's at, and Sambo's leg locks come from catch wrestling. So unless you're going back to pancration days,
that's my only point is how far in history.
There's no other place to link it.
What we have to do is just go further back in history to go back to when it was just one thing. You know what I mean? Like it was just grappling or it was just fighting, and that's all there was. And then later on, you have the history of nations settling differences instead of war, like over rice paddies in Asia and things like that. They developed non-lethal ways to compete. And the martial arts that we see today are the extraction of that region and what they did. Each region, China, Japan, Russia, all regions have grappling arts and striking arts.
Sure.
All of them. But it all came from one nexus. It came from one wellspring somewhere. And things branched out because of cultures and techniques being used or whatever had to do with rule sets. And the rule sets changed the fighting concepts and everything like that, which became arts.
And I think when you say wellspring, we're talking about like thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago.
Exactly.
Not a couple hundred years, not 1882 when judo became, and obviously jiu-jitsu is older than that. And I don't think jiu-jitsu and catch necessarily crossed paths in the last few hundred years, but obviously fighting originated somewhere, just like
exactly.
chess. There's only so many ways to make a baby, and only so many ways to break a leg. It's the same crap. I mean, there's no new position.
Imagine 3 Neanderthals having the same question of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because these are questions
like right
that
now?
have probably been, yeah. But you were using mammoth tusks, bored out, talking through them and hearing
with a cord. So we always talk about leg locks with cats, and the thing is that's a big misconception. Is the first thing we think of is with cats is leg locks, but we don't look at leg locks any different than we do a choke or an arm bar. But jiu-jitsu looks at catch wrestling and says, oh, well, you guys just do a lot of neck cracks and compression locks and leg locks. No, we just do everything that you're scared to do or think is illegal and everything that you're already doing. But for some reason, there's a great interest in those other things, and people want violence. So guess what? More of the catch stuff's coming back. So yes, it is catch wrestling. To me, that leg lock is no different than a front headlock. Is it wrestling? Yeah, it is. It's absolutely wrestling. It's absolutely the same as the front headlock. It's the same thing as that Achilles lock or ankle lock, or whatever you want to call it. And it's the same thing as that judo hip toss. You could say, oh, it's wrestling. Is it not? To me, it depends on what you're wearing, too, at the time. It's kind of funny because here I'm going to contradict myself, hopefully not too much. When I teach judo, I use different grips, right? And I wear a gi. And when I take it off, all those throws exist in catch wrestling with different names. The grips change, but like you said, Sean, there's only so many ways to do things, and people figure this out way before us. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to study a history and find the best sources and get it from the horse's mouth. But when I teach it with a gi, it's judo. When I do that same throw without it, it's catch. But when I do a leg lock, it was outlawed in jiu-jitsu for how many years? Because the Fadas beat the living crap out of the Gracies. Because there is 2 lineages.
Filthy Zapatero.
Right? There's 2 lineages in BJJ, whether people like it or not. And it was the Fada lineage, and they had the challenging matches, and 21 out of 25 matches were won by leg locks, and they all freaked out. No more leg locks, no more leg locks. Well, now it's cool. And how many schools do we go in for years that said no leg locks till your purple or brown belt? And now you see them doing something different because of that money, right? It's popular. They want to sell. It's not about safety. It's about money. And we've been doing that. We were teaching kids 5 years old doing heel hooks. There's no dangers in the other thing. You just have to understand self-control, and you have to have a good student to coach ratio with good supervision. And if you can't do that, you shouldn't be a coach in the first place.
See, I wanted killers and champions, not money. That's why.
I know.
Right, day one.
You've calmed down a lot.
Leg locks. I know.
You've calmed down a lot because it's the checkmate in a way. Because especially when you first learned it way before me, most people were unfamiliar with it. It was a secret weapon at the time, and because they got not because it didn't work, but people ignored it because it'd been illegal for so long in the most popular grappling arts. It'd been kind of shunned upon as some dirty thing, and I don't understand why. Especially when we're talking, are we not fighting?
It is dirty. It is dirty though.
I don't think it is.
Let's be honest, guys. Leg locks.
It's dark, not dirty. It's dark, not dirty.
Well, fighting is dirty and fighting is bad. I've been in jail for fighting.
Vinny Magalhaes. I don't know if you guys saw Vinny Magalhaes versus Craig Jones. Craig Jones couldn't tap Vinny with that leg lock, huh?
Well,
did you see that, Joel?
Yeah, who won? And why did he win? Because of the leg lock.
Because that heel was facing the knee.
now that dude's Vinny. I like Vinny. I'm a big fan of his. That dude is like a rubber, man. He is like Gumby out there. But and I posted something up on Catch Wrestling Magazine. It was no knock on Vinny. I've actually talked to Vinny before when we did the Catch Wrestling World Championship. He was actually interested in it, believe it or not. And he didn't want that much money either, but he had a schedule conflict. And that would have been really interesting.
So I want to throw something out to you guys because both you guys are old school, but at the same time, you have that new school influence. How has the internet changed grappling in the landscape of this combat sport?
Take it, Sean. You go first, brother.
Knowledge, just the fact that people can now know that things have been there. Like Joel and I, and you like we have a vision of unifying all things. You know what I mean? Not separating us, you know, and saying we're the best and of all things and so on and so forth. It's more about getting people to understand and make a decision for themselves and be educated.
Show the
Look,
beauty.
You know, it's one thing to, you know, to mimic someone, but to understand something, it's way more beautiful. And in the martial arts world, it can be more enriched the more that we have the knowledge of the past and the present in which we can start shaping our future. And that's with attitudes, with technique, with skills, the way we do things. We have the chance here to revolutionize and evolve the whole entire thing back into basically what it was 1,000 years ago. Fighting's fighting. One day we're not going to have this conversation. We're going to realize a leg lock's just a leg lock. A choke is just a choke, whether you have a lapel on or you don't or whatever. Grappling is grappling.
Yep.
But over the past couple hundred years, we have all these different schools of thought. They're different philosophies if we break it down. And is it cool just to have one philosophy? No, because that's just a very narrow-minded way of thinking. I was always challenged to use all martial arts, to learn all martial arts and discard what doesn't work and use what works. And, you know, and even if I have to go through learning what doesn't work to get what does work, it's much better for me. Now, in the past, you had to go get books and you had to find books and you never even heard what a certain book was on martial arts or anything like that. But now it's all right there. You want to know something, you say it into a little fucking speaker and it tells you. There is no excuse to be ignorant in this world, period. And especially in the martial arts world, it's a smaller world. So to be ignorant in this day and age and to not know where things came from and not know where things can go, you're really missing out. And you know, those who do take advantage of it, like you, Emil Fisher, you know, you do that very thing and your game is constantly evolving. Joel, you did all these things and look at what you have today with Snake Pit USA. Holy shit. You know, now everybody has this opportunity. You don't have to have a strong work ethic to tap a button or speak into a microphone and get an answer and not be ignorant anymore.
I'm sorry, Coach. I didn't mean to cut you off. You good?
Oh, you didn't. You're good.
May I go back to the question you asked me earlier because I didn't finish. I'm so sorry, but the one you asked me about Snake Pit USA, just real quick, because I want to make sure that that story's on, like how it became, and I'll make it really fast. Yeah. So Stephanie Sirocco kept pushing me to do it. Eventually, I agreed to do it, and John Potenza and I went out and did a seminar with Billy Robinson in Utah, and I approached him with the idea because I was still active duty military. There's no way I could do this on my own with my schedule. And Sean, you can understand that. There's no way you can run a business like that doing seminars all the time by yourself and shooting the DVDs.
Well, you were a little more high speed than the average guy on base too. You were always tasked.
Yeah, dude. How many times I was even not just deployments, but the exercises, and I would get so mad. And you know,
the education side, and all that. People don't know Joel's a fucking scholar, guys. You know, he's not a meathead. He's not a big guy, dumb idiot kind of thing. You can tell just by the way he's talking. He's intelligent. He knows his stuff. He's a walking encyclopedia of martial arts, but he's also highly intelligent. He can write well. He reads well. I mean, the dude is all around.
Nobody is supposed to know any of this. Okay, I kept it under wraps for years, and now it's out. You bastard. No, so when we started it, we really wanted it. The idea was to unite catch wrestlers. The problem was the quality was shit. You know, outside of certain lineages, like obviously I had Sean and I've been around Eric Paulson for a little bit. And then Sean and I learned so much from Sean through, John Saylor through Sean, who had a crazy catch wrestling influence. He was a friend of Alan Koaj, who was even Andre the Giant was scared of, who was trained by Antonio Inaki. So we have some sick lineages that really nobody in the world can compete with.
Bad News Brown.
Right? He challenged Andre the Giant. Andre was like, screw that, dude. But anyways, that's how Snake Pit USA got started. And the purpose of it was to give people the skills to go out and do something. Because it's how many catch wrestling schools are there? We've had 60 at one point or other, not at the same time that we've gone through. But they come and go, you know, for different personal reasons and financial reasons. And that's okay. That's just life. But we have a vetting system where you can't just be a McDojo douchebag and say, oh, well, I love catch wrestling. I just want to put your banner on my wall and then do my own thing because you won't last 2 months. I'll boot you because you just violated the entire contract because I make sure it's in there. it's got to be quality over quantity. Otherwise, what the hell are we doing, man? So that's what Snake USA was supposed to be. It was not just supposed to be getting affiliate schools out there, but giving people the opportunity to get real catch wrestling online knowledge, not some online promotional academy bullcrap that you see. You still have to go evaluations in person. You still need to be training at a school. You can't be wrestling with your brother in front of a couch, drilling like that. And I get it. I get what people say when they do that, but it's not the same. You're not rolling with different people.
Well, maybe right now in quarantine, that's okay. Right now in quarantine, we'll say that's actually going.
All right, well, when we get past this, hopefully in the next few weeks, it's back on, okay? But that was really the purpose, and I'll cut it off right there. But it really wasn't me. It was actually that my old trainer, and she was the one that pushed me to go do it. And but I couldn't do it without Sean. I couldn't have done it without. Even guys, if you go across the board, obviously Billy was critical, and even John Saylor. Paulson was very inspirational for me to be creative, but Sean was the one that kind of really got me started with getting my mind going and thinking more instead of just crushing, because I was very strong and athletic at the time, and I had done a lot of pro football workouts. I was into big, heavy lifting, and I would stay in pretty good shape, and I would rely on a lot of strength and just throw people around. And he got me realizing all these concepts and principles. And then Billy was really.
And then he started ripping my head off.
That's so not true.
It is true. Yeah, Daisy popper. Is it called a daisy popper? That I get a little taller every time you put me in that. It's awesome.
But hey, we told Santos that one time he won like 10 tournaments with only that submission. In the black belt division as a no belt. And no gi. It's all he knew because he was a Division I wrestler. He'd take you down, mount you, and daisy pop you, and they'd scream for their life. But let me get back to what you asked. Can you please ask me that media question again? I'll be quick. You said, Emil.
I was asking about how the internet has affected, the learning process, how it has sped things up for people.
No, I think it's sped things up, and I think it's slowed things down because every douchebag has a voice now. So you get a lot of trash technique from idiots that want to be gurus. They need to go back to their class and ask their coach a question instead of being some blue belt or some kid who watched a YouTube video or some wannabe catch wrestler who got his ass kicked in a jiu-jitsu school and read a catch wrestling book, and now he calls himself a catch wrestler. He's talking on these stupid catch wrestling pages all day long. Who's never done anything for catch wrestling. He doesn't support events. He doesn't put on promotions, but he's a Billy Badass who's never even been punched in the face in his life, right? It's
probably eating a fucking ho-ho. So
there's good and bad. You're right. It's funny. You knew I say that all the time. All right. I hate your face. But probably fucking ho-ho. It's true though, man. You got it. I've gotten in a lot of trouble over the years, and Sean knows that. I've been in and out of jail. I've been in and out of jail from fighting and doing all kinds of stuff, and I practice what I preach. I believe in what we do. But man, you got to have the highest standards on this stuff, because if you don't use media, it's on us to counter those morons. Because with us, you were saying us being old school a little bit now. I guess we're getting older. It's true. We're all in this, Sean. I think you're going your third decade now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm over my second decade. Emil, you're probably around me. You're over around somewhere around there, right? You're over 2 decades too involved.
30.
Now, I think,
I'm 30 years. I'm 30 years. February. This past February was 30 years.
So together, we've got like 70 years of training that we're talking about right now. And if we don't put out the good stuff, man, this younger generation is going to suck if we get invaded. I mean, they're not going to be able to defend themselves from anything because, first of all, their minds have made a mush. They don't have the intellect to study, and you don't have to be a genius to Google something, for God's sake. I have people send me stuff. They want me to do their research. I had somebody say, "Do catch wrestling submissions work?" And I'm like, "What the hell? What are you even talking about?" Oh, shut up. Like, you know what I'm saying? But a submission's a submission, and it's like,
no, that's how Emil would answer him and just leave it.
But what is a catch wrestling submission? What are you even talking about, dude? Here's you guys will get a kick out of this. Now we're talking about media. We're running a big thing this weekend, and I'm a big marketing guy, and Sean knows that because I put every penny we have back into Snake USA. We have our own incomes, and we do this out of passion. So it's like we talk about deturning the shrimp. I have to go back through all of our media runs that we do on Instagram when I push these videos on Instagram, because I've got 500 people talking Spanish and saying, "How could you put out such violence? This is horrendous for the children." And some dude saying, "I would just kick the guy in the leg or bite him in the face." And like, oh my gosh, you're literally deturning a shrimp. it's just the fanboys, right? These guys don't even train. It's like that's the most annoying part to me. But back to the quality, if we don't obsessively focus on quality control and giving it our heart and soul with the technique that we do and the detail that we have, that we've been blessed with our coaches, then we are failing everybody, because there's so many wannabe gurus out there that are fucking it up.
Emil's really heavy on quality control. He's got a mission. He's out on a mission.
I like
outing the fake shit.
Dude, you got it, man. If it don't, you got to get that fake crap. I don't watch. I mean, you ever see me do a show hold at a catch wrestling seminar? I don't do that crap, man. If I can't pull it off on the mats against somebody who's like black belt level and a friend of mine or something like that, it's not going to go in our videos. I don't want it. It's trash. I don't care how good it feels, how cool it is. I don't do show holds. We had that problem before years ago, and it went the other way. And now it doesn't exist anymore. Sean Cameron, me, that's a lot stronger. And we're blessed to do that. But it's our responsibility right now, along with and we're great friends with Jake Shannon. We love Jake, but we're separate entities, but we work together as affiliates. Again, we have our own way of doing things. We have the same goal as far as now he likes the sport a little more, and I like the art a little more. I think, and I know he loves the art, but he wants the sport to come back, and I hope that does happen, but I just don't see it.
Yeah.
But I think the style is exploding. Say again?
Why is the sport failed?
Well, because look at ADCC, they're already doing it without the pin. So why the hell would I need to go put on a show you can already watch on UFC Fight Pass? It's what are we doing?
Well, and it goes back to the fan. Who's going to watch? Like, okay, the only ones who want to watch it are the fans we were talking about, and the fans are the one that are always. And well, if it doesn't have a pin, if it doesn't have this, and it doesn't, and they don't. I'm the one who's been doing catch wrestling for fucking 20 years. How are you telling me what makes catch? Catch as catch can means to win in any way possible, any way you can.
By any means available, absolutely.
And if you're in a tournament that doesn't have a pin, you're still a catch wrestler, right?
Absolutely, and that's something funny that we talk about open-ended. Look at the Jeet Kune Do type mentality. That's why so many JKD guys run to us. A lot of CSW guys who loves JKD run to Snake Pit USA, because catch is open-ended. It's not a style. It's a set of concepts. And that's a quote from Billy Robinson himself. It is a set of concepts that you can adapt to anything. So if catch wrestling made my judo better. Catch wrestling made my jiu-jitsu better. Jiu-jitsu never made my catch wrestling better. Judo didn't make my catch wrestling better, but those concepts of catch made me a better judoka, made me a better jiu-jitsuka. I hate that word, but it's what it is. But it made me better at those things, because I took those concepts and applied them, because they're universal. They're universal concepts within grappling, and the other styles don't have those. Maybe they did it one time and somebody lost them, and it sucks, because I have no idea how much stuff Billy took with him to the grave. But there's this stuff that if we don't keep it going, who the hell's going to do it, man?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like everything makes everything better. The more you can never have too many concepts under your belt.
No, you're right. You know why? This is why I agree with you. And Sean, correct me if I'm wrong. When I see things, I have to stay up to date. And Sean, you probably do the same thing. If I don't watch what's popular, how do I teach my students to counter it? How do I teach them how to destroy that? And I have to kind of dig into my head. And sometimes it takes a while, because you have to be creative, just like they were. Now, I'm not talking about these stupid. You're gonna get me started on this bullshit. Those goofballs on Instagram where they do 10 barren buttholes and they take the guy's back, and it's like they literally went 10 feet across the mat doing all these spins and twists. Give me a freaking break. You look like a circus act.
Why go to
doing that? I'm talking to you right now. Who's ever doing that? You are a jackass. Please stop making videos and go back to your coach. You suck.
Dude, I'm like, sometimes I'm looking at a watch like, all right, when does the submission land? This is the longest fucking loop-de-loo that I have ever seen.
It's worse than any karate kata that ever happened. It's the most choreographed bullshit on the face of the earth of grappling, and it's stupid. You're watching like, oh, loop-de, up. And guess what? A lot of guys have tried to do barren buttholes on me, gi or no gi, and my knee goes straight through their jaw because it's a busted Granby. That's all of it. Not all of it.
It's a busted. It's a shitty Granby.
It's a busted Granby. Now, it works better with the gi, obviously. It's a little tougher to stop, but it has never worked on me once. And, Sean, you know I roll with everybody. You know that. I'm broken, and I'm a disabled veteran, 100%. I'm not supposed to even be coaching. And I got guys 3rd and 4th degree black belts that still can't pull it off on me. And it's not because I'm better than them. I just think it's a bullshit move against somebody who's 260 pounds and already knows what's coming because they've dedicated their life to this. You know, you see things coming a mile away. When you grab me, I feel what's coming, and I'm waiting for when I got a big shit-eating smile on my face because I know you're about to lose a tooth. You know, you grab my belt, hook my leg, try to go under, and I sit on your face, or I go straight through your legs and I can go straight through your legs and go straight to side control. You didn't accomplish much, but there are different variations that are not barambolos where there's different things, and even Sean did one that was a takedown, which is kind of the same where you hook the leg and roll through, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of the same, but it's different. There's many ways, even when you're in somebody's half guard, which we call a half mount, because you're not in anybody's anything in catch wrestling. You have your own position names for everything, so you can roll through to all kinds of nice leg locks and things like that. But it's kind of the same, but it's to me, it's just all busted Granbys. That's why I look at it. If you can't stop a busted Granby, you can't wrestle. Sorry, I'll shut up.
That was superb.
Everybody in these interviews likes getting me worked up. You know, I get fired up, and I'm not trying to hate on anybody in particular, but man, fucking throw out the trash and keep the good stuff, man. This fancy crap.
It's interesting that you talk about those transitional flows that you see, the 5-6 part series that people are posting on Instagram.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about them, and I'll tell you why. A lot of my game comes from the old, magician's deception. Look at this while I do this.
I can see that in your videos, yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff, in my most recent competitive match that I had, I threw a triangle at the guy, and as soon as he defended the triangle, I went to his feet, and I was able to get the leg lock. And sometimes you got to throw weird, unorthodox combos. And you got to learn those weird, unorthodox combos. And I don't,
Right.
I think that a lot of the people that are showing those videos don't know how to finish a submission. And I've experienced it. Like, I've competed against some of those people, and they don't, they'll get to that position, and then I'll finish them.
But what you're saying, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. What you're saying is exactly what I agree with. I don't like the term, we always say position before submission, and a lot of these catch dorks say submission from any position, and that's the stupidest thing. I hate when people say that, because I guarantee you, as high level as you guys are, if you put me in your best position, I might escape, but I'm not just gonna miracle a submission out my ass. Okay, it doesn't just work like that. There is no submission from any position. I'm sorry. I don't care how good you are. It doesn't work like that against the best in the world. It doesn't, because what I think about is submission throughout transition, which is what you just said. You transitioned from the triangle, and you knew where you were going before you moved. It's like the infantryman who's under fire. He doesn't just run to any random tree while he's being shot at. He knows the damn tree he's running for, and he sees that tree while he's under fire. He goes straight for that tree and attacks. Same thing with the transition, and we're most vulnerable during transitions. If you know where you're going and you know where you're going to transition, even though we're most vulnerable during our transitions have to be seamless. And if we learn those transitions and force reactions and entanglements, all like you're talking about that you did going for that leg, we're actually on the same page with what you're saying. I just don't like this.
Emil, I think what you're talking about, Emil, is actually agreeing with Joel. Like, your idea is because the way you do things is different from what Joel was describing. Your approach, I understand what you're saying. You'll see anything and get inspiration from it. One thing, no matter how goofy something is in the long-term thing, but your tactics isn't a long A, B, C, D, E to get to F instead of going from A to F. You're getting all these things.
I think we're saying the same thing in different ways.
The way I got to this point was by doing long strings and getting to the point where my muscle memory, everything was connected, so I was just able to kind of do it automatically. And so as a result, I'd say the long strings, the katas, if you will, are a great way to develop your timing and your seamlessness.
Maybe I should not have used that word.
No, it's
no,
but
what you're saying,
I have mixed feelings about it, because I know that those guys can't finish with shit. but the idea of those strings isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
No.
I think I actually agree with you 100%. I was just talking about the silly guys that roll around and do those. And I'll send you a video later what I'm trying to talk about. Like,
dude, there are some strings,
you guys
bro,
know
that
what
are
I'm talking
fucking
about,
ridiculous.
where the guy literally spins, like, does it like 10 times across the mat, and you're like, why? You just took the dude's back 6 times. And
I see tons of videos. I'm like, why didn't you just go straight to it?
Yeah, but it's like we talk about with our submission chains. People are like, well, why'd you do that? Well, it's because everybody reacts differently. It's not to show off. It's not to show off how many submissions I can do. So it's kind of the same logic. I think we're on the same page with things. It's just different ways of doing it. I think we're talking the same thing and just going about it a different way.
For sure.
Yeah, and Emil, you'll watch one of those videos and come off with like 5 different offshoots too. Right. With like before the end of the technique was even done. You know what I mean? Like at different phases of that technique string.
You've got it. That's how you get good at shit.
Well, guys, Sean, should we launch that bomb about that championship, that tournament idea?
You might as well.
All right. So, Emil, we had this idea because we were originally supposed to be in Subversive, and you were supposed to be a part of that, remember?
Yeah.
And obviously, this virus shit got in the way no matter what, but it was something we were still going to do. And the original setup was a team thing, and I wanted 10th Planet first round. But when we put together our lineup, they shit the bed. Because we had a former NFL linebacker that I can't keep on his back. And he's just a machine. He went out as a blue belt and destroyed everybody at IBGF. Nobody scored 1 point on him. He's just a freak. He played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I trained him down at ATT in Florida. I had Jim Allers was on board. And we were still building the team. And that's as far as we got. And they're like, we're not going to do a team anymore. We're not going to. I'm like, yeah, something's going on here. And you guys know how it gets with promoters, and I don't have to deal with them, so I can say whatever the fuck I want. Because I don't need them. My audience is bigger than all of them. Most of them. Well, find me a promotion that's new. It has 500,000 fans. It's hard. Now, there are a lot of jiu-jitsu organizations that have earned that. But these new organizations that are coming up, they need us to sponsor them, to promote them, because they have no platform. So when you tell me you're going to give me a certain number of slots, and I give you these names of people that I believe in, and you shit the bed and run, I don't want to play anymore. You know what I mean? And we kept trying, right, guys? We kept trying. We tried to get our slots, and it started getting a little fishier. And it was kind of funny. And they said, we want hometown boys in Florida. We want hometown boys in Florida because we need to sell tickets. Well, it's funny because they turned down Jim Allers, who's like 22-0 for the year between bare knuckle boxing, grappling, and UFC. And turned down Keon Wilson, the prior NFL linebacker, who was literally destroying people within 5 and 10 seconds in grappling matches, and wanted Emil from Ohio. And I said, well, obviously I want Emil, but you just told me you want to sell tickets in Florida. And I was just like, you know what? And the 3 of us talked about this. And this is, I'll talk about anything. I don't give a crap. You love me or hate me, here I am. But it is what it is, man. So what I kind of was thinking, we need to come with our own thing, and I don't give a shit about the pin, where it's a Snake Pit USA challenge. We put the baddest guys we have on the mats down in Florida and say, come to us. No pins, submissions only. Nothing is illegal except for breaking minor joints, obviously like fingers, which is kind of funny. The last one, it was actually illegal. I might have gone a little too far. But it was funny because Brandon Ruiz, God bless him, I love him to death. He was like, he saw the amateur tournament during the day, and I was like, small digit breaking is legal. When I said no holds barred, I meant no holds barred. And he was like, and then later on that night, he goes, is there any way we can change that? Because I got like, I don't know how many kids he has, like 5 or 6. And he's like, I got to work. And now Brandon's a tough dude. We've competed against him. He's a tough dude. He's a great grappler. So I was like, all right, let's get rid of that part. It might be, especially now with the big boys coming in now, because things are going to get broke. You know what I mean? But we're going to start doing challenge matches. We're going to start doing something special down at Dave Patron's gym down there, which is our one. We have 2 big schools in Florida, the American Top Team in Tampa, and we have over at
Volusia.
FRBGJ Volusia, which is Snake Pit Volusia. That's why I stuttered, because there's a couple different names for it. He calls it, it's a scientific wrestling place, but he's also a former BJJ world champion and a phenomenal grappler, and he's a catch fanatic, and he's got a beautiful gym, and we would like to host some challenge seminars in there. Well, I'll put up the money. I don't care. Bring it. Bring your best and watch what happens. Watch what happens without any bullshit strings being pulled. Legitimate stuff. Legitimate. No, nothing. It's just let's see what happens.
Pro matches, right? For pay.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I mean, I don't want the money. I'm just setting the stage. I've lost how much money? That 2018 tournament, which I wish I had done the rules differently because they came back and bit us in the ass. But I lost almost $5,000 on.
Jacobs, man, Karen Jacobs.
Yeah, Karen, it is.
Karen.
Douchebag. Well, and he's claiming I united catch wrestling. No, you took a giant dump. You took a dump. You took the stage I gave you. You rolled out a red carpet, made a video cursing the people that helped you. I got out of the hospital the day before. After being in the hospital with a heart problem for a week, Jake Shannon came out and helped me. He didn't have to even be there. And we treated you like royalty, man. Gave you free shit, did everything. The paycheck you got came from my personal checking account, you douche. And then I offered him something. I told the piece of crap, I said, I'll do seminars with you if you want, and we'll take it and keep growing it and give you good matches. Well, then we said, here's a match for you. Here's Josh Leduc. And he goes, Joel gave me this joke of a deal. I'm sorry, did you get another deal? No, because nobody likes you. That's why. Because at the end of the day, the cream rises to the top and the shit sinks to the bottom and gets flushed. So that's all I'm saying.
To the top, my friends.
It's so stupid, man. That dude's a parasite. Anybody who likes him, go fuck yourself.
I want to match
You're just like him. You're just like him. It's like that douchebag. I'm not even gonna mention his name. So Josh Leduc had a match with that horrible, god awful grappler that you had to face, Emil. And he looked like the Green Lantern's gay little brother in his stupid leotard.
As much as I don't like some of his internet stuff, I feel like at least with him, he'll take any challenge.
Yeah, but he can't grapple.
I understand.
You had a bad day, and I saw it because I've seen you compete. You had a shit day, and that's the only reason he lasted longer than 10 seconds. I saw the other match because I watched, and I was like, maybe Emil. Now, hear me out. I said, maybe Emil's not that good. And then I watched your other matches, like, he is that good. And then I went back to that one. I said, he had a crap day. That dude should have been murdered in 10 seconds. Because the way he's kicking his legs off his back, it looks like a white belt that's never even touched a mat in his life. No wrestling ability, no submission ability. Here's another douchebag who got his ass kicked in a jiu-jitsu school, talking trash. I found the jiu-jitsu book and watched the video. Now I got my ego back. I'm ready to roll, baby. No, you're not.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing with that, right? I would rather a loudmouth douchebag that shows up than a loudmouth douchebag that's good but doesn't show up.
No, I can't dispute that.
Two to the fucking Shay.
I'm right with you, bro. Hey, no, you're right, man. Hey, and it's an easier win, anyways.
I've grown to appreciate him. I really have.
Not me. I'm always about throwing out the trash. It comes a couple times a week. I just throw it out. And it's funny because marketing. Josh was talking about this. Josh Duke and I were talking about this. And he's a young up and comer with what he's doing, and obviously, we've been around a little bit longer, but I think Josh is doing great things, and I believe in supporting Josh. And Sean, you know how hard it is to win me over.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. I'll say anything to anybody, and it's even my busted body. I'll back it up, and that's probably why I've been to jail a couple times. But I'm saying I started to believe in Josh recently more than ever, and he made a statement. He goes, it's not the fans. The fans are not it. It's the fighters. It's the students. It's the people that really believe in what we're doing that are there. Everybody else is picking the turds out of the shrimp. That's all it is. That's all they are. They're going to come and go, and hopefully, Lord willing, the three of us will be sitting here in 20 years, and we're going to have, hopefully my beard will be gray and glorious, and Emil, your hair will be a little further out. Sean's going to have, you son of a bitch, is already gray. I hate your face. I got a lot in here, but whatever. Anyways, they're going to come and go, guys. And we know this. They're going to come and go. And it's our job is to stay the course. We have to stay the course at all costs, no matter what's leading. Snake Pit USA is a machine that's not the Joel Bane show. It's not just the Sean show. It's a machine of coaches that are a little sick and twisted and psychotic and obsessed. They come from multiple backgrounds. Almost all of us are BJJ black belts. Some of us are judo black belts on top of this. Some of them are Division I college wrestlers. I wrestled higher than that at the international level. wasn't terribly successful, but somebody made me the assistant coach for a reason for 2 years, you know, because I was the best guy on the team, that's for sure. And we had national champions on the team. So we got to keep it going, man. We got to keep it real, and keep Snake Pit USA real. And that's what we're going to do, man. And Emil, obviously you're always going to be a part of that, and you're part of our family. And I think you know that. I think you knew that before this interview, because you know, Sean's my brother, man. He's closer to me than my own brothers, and that's no disgrace to my brothers or disrespecting them. But Sean and I've been through a lot together. You know, there were times where if I missed a day for training in the military where I had no choice, maybe 2 days where I go to like some stupid exercise in Virginia with the Army, and then we come back, because you remember how it was in the CRW, Sean? Exercise, right? I come back, so you know what he would do was round robin, and I'm not talking about round robin nowadays. Like, 3 rounds of 3 minutes. No. It was an hour to 2 hours of, if you miss another practice, we're going to murder you. Even though the military gave me no choice. You know what I mean? And I would drive home.
I've changed a lot. Hindsight, you know, I would have done things way differently.
I'm glad you didn't.
But yeah, you know what I mean? But we'll do that with our students. You know what I mean? We tweak for our students, you know, but it's what made us who we are, you know. And
I wouldn't have changed a thing. I did a podcast, the Old Rollers podcast, which would be great for you too, because us, you know, in our age now, a lot of these guys are getting older. Like Emil, you were talking about that guy who's in his 60s. How do we keep going? You know, I'm not supposed to keep going, and Sean, you're not either. But how do we do it? How do we find a way? And will is our last thing to go, but the injuries start taking away from that will sometimes, you know, and start pulling away from it.
I think you try to avoid injuries. You try to avoid exacerbating them. Like when I trained with Sean, I don't know. Apart from the neck thing, when I was trying to rape choke him, I don't know if I've ever actually hurt Sean.
Yeah, dude.
Sean, yeah.
There's ways to train without hurting your training partners.
Well, you know how I got good at leg locks? Before I met Sean, I studied the pancrase videos and started getting kicked out of jiu-jitsu schools in New Jersey. And I was a purple belt in 2003. And I came to New Jersey, and I could not find a home, because the guy I learned on, Jason Martinez, back in Colorado, down in Fort Collins, he liked leg locks. He wasn't great at them, but he loved the pancrase stuff and the old Shudo stuff, and even the rings, you know, which is all catch based back in those days. He really enjoyed it. He embraced that, and he was a crazy wild guy who I really liked, and I couldn't find a home. So Sean, when Sean would catch me in a leg lock, guess what? Pop. It didn't matter if you tapped. It was it. I've had my knees popped, and I'm not mad at you, Sean. I love you. I've had surgeries, but it was pop. And I can remember some funny stories. I'm not going to mention any names. He's choked me unconscious, and I was not a crappy purple belt. I won tournaments at the time out in Colorado before I never came to New Jersey easily, and not that I was all that, but at purple belt I was solid. And Sean could walk all over me like it was my first day on the mat when I started with him. On the first day, he could walk through me, and I saw him do it to other students coming from high-level schools, from Almeida's schools that were coming down, Ricardo Almeida's schools. They would come down and see us, and Sean would have an arm brace on, and I'm like, dude, because it was my job to be the enforcer. No, you always told. Am I wrong? You always told me.
Yeah.
You said, Joel, go take care of that, and I would do it because I was a little psychotic, and I had no problems doing it. But Sean was like, I got this one. And he took this kid this is not a bullshit. He had a sling on, threw him on his head, and put him in about 6 different submissions, and the kid just walked right out the door. And it was like I had already known Sean for a little bit. I was just enamored. I was like, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. I don't care. You can break my legs. You can choke me unconscious. I want that. I want to be pushed to the point. I don't care if I'm mangled. I'm getting tougher. I'm getting harder. I'm getting meaner. I'm getting stronger, and I'm becoming more effective. And if nobody's wanting to push himself with that level, you're never going to be as good as you can. You're not. You may, I don't know if you're able to walk when you get there, but you have to have that psychotic drive in everything you do. If the true passion is there, the drive behind the passion has to have no limit, because the only limits that exist are the ones we put on ourselves. And Sean was the one who would. I'll tell you one funny story, Emil. You'll like this one. So Sean used to train the modern Army combative coaches, And I took over after that, and they were good friends of ours. They were the level 4 guys, decent guys, probably like a blue belt type level. And we had a friend. I'm not going to name him, but he didn't understand Sean's method of teaching. And Sean's very sneaky at getting you back when he wants to. When he wants to, he doesn't always do it. He's usually.
You talking about CG?
Yeah.
I was thinking about it the whole time you were telling the previous story. I was like, oh shit, you remember him?
Yeah, I know. Hey, good dude. But still, a legitimate old infantry guy, went to Iraq, I think. A good dude, and no disrespect to him, but he wasn't used to that training because the combatives don't train like that, and they probably should. But here we are rolling, and I'm about 4 feet away, and Sean's got him in a rear naked choke, an old stranglehold, and he starts screaming, help me, because he's tapping, and I know Sean's not going to let go because he's done it to me.
He was going out.
He's reaching out for me, like, because I'm rolling next to him. He's like trying to grab me, like I'm going to help him out of his submission, and I'm like, good night, my friend. I'm not going to say that. I said his name, but I said, good night, brother. It's like, I'll see you in a minute.
I honestly felt bad. Felt bad as I was down.
You did it to me 100 times.
I got to do no, but you never act. You didn't react like that. The man was afraid for his life, and
I'm a little sick and twisted. You know that.
Yeah, you're. But yeah, dude.
I always wanted the toughest, nastiest thing I could find, and you're the only one that could have given it to me, man. And thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Nasty motherfucker.
What's up, boss?
I said he is a tough, nasty motherfucker.
He is, man. But I tell you what, I saw what he's done. I never saw your game before that, but I see things when I watch your videos, and I'm a fan. I like watching your videos. It's obviously a different style, and I'm not going to hate on your style. You're winning. What can I say? If you're winning, whatever, dude. Be yourself.
Well, my entire goal is to let my opponents know that they can have whatever they want, and that I'm still going to beat them.
I like it. Actually, we probably don't think that terribly different.
No, you guys don't.
I do not feel submission threats ever because I can feel things coming so far away because of so many years that I know you're going way before you're going.
Being friends with both of you guys, I know that you guys are so similar in so many ways. It's just the end product, the outwardness of expression of how it comes out is just very different. But training wise, everything wise, you guys are very, very similar, and that's the reason why you guys are both fucking champions. I'm proud of both you guys. You guys are fucking awesome. Joel, you saved my life in the military. Emil resurrected I pretty much gave up on martial arts. Joel, you saw me. I was very despondent, for a very long time. When I had my lower back surgeries, my life ended with my lower back surgeries, and I took 4 years off from the martial arts and only trained a couple guys, just a little here and a little there. There was just kind of like I was advising. I was being an advisor, and I will. And just like Joel, you did for me in the military of dragging my butt and putting a fire under my ass to do what was right, to do what I needed to do. Emil did that for me starting in 2016. And then the two of you, I had two shepherds, sheepdogs fucking nipping at my heels and my ass to fucking further my career in BJJ, further my career in the catch wrestling, further my career in all these things. And without you two, I'm not where I would not be doing what I'm doing right now. I'm feeding my family with martial arts because of you right? two. You two are the reason why. Well, and you talk about giving credit where credit's due. That's where, you guys have greatly enriched my life in different ways.
Well, Snake USA wouldn't exist without you. You know that.
I wouldn't be winning shit without you.
Go.
I appreciate both of you.
It's actually let's do this every week. The three of us. This is fun.
I bring you guys back on for sure. But so we're at about the hour 48-minute mark here. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
Sean, you got anything, brother? You want to go first?
No, just simply just so that there's no misconceptions out there. Our whole mission, Snake Pit USA, and anything I do is not division. It's not separation of all these things and fights and quarrels. It's literally, hey, let's all get together and fucking improve all of our shit.
Absolutely.
You
We're
know,
part of the grappling brotherhood.
Yeah, it's all the same to me, you know,
We're
and
all family.
it's a way of life. It should be, you know, something that's, I don't know, I'm a little bit rambling here, but it's just time to stop the bullshit and let's progress from
That's
here.
true. I'm a piggyback on you, Lou. I think everybody has something to offer, and the proof is in our pudding. So, so I'll say this to the fans out there to listen. If you check us out, snakebitusa.com. There's so much free stuff out there, man. It's unbelievable right now. Because we don't do this for money. You know, Sean and I, we have our own incomes. We have different responsibilities within the organization, but you know, we just drive the machine. The coaches, those representative coaches, those are guys out there, you know, kind of in the dirt, pushing their gym, suffering right now through what the times that are going. So, no, even if you're not I don't care what style you are, don't cancel. I know we're coming to the end of this, hopefully, Lord willing, but don't cancel your stupid gym memberships, man. Unless you don't have the money, obviously, and I hope you do. But if you have the money, take care of your gyms because they're not going to be there. Because your coaches are still working, man. Your coaches are still busting their butt. They haven't given up on you. Don't give up on them. Snakebit USA is a special organization because of many reasons. It's not one person. It's never going to be the Joel Bane Show, and I hate the idea of that. It's a team of coaches that believe in one common goal of showing the beauty of catch wrestling to the world. And it doesn't mean that we think we're better than anything or anyone. All it's saying, and like I said, most of us come from multiple different disciplines with high
And we're
level.
all BJJ black belts, pretty much. Yeah.
Literally, like 90% of our guys are BJJ black belts, and not fake BJJ black belts, which we're seeing a lot more of nowadays. No, and people are gonna hate me for saying that, but I've rolled with plenty of them, and I felt like it was a purple belt from 2002. You know, it's
Emil has too.
You know what I mean? Where it's like you'd be a purple belt if this was 2002. But and I hope, and that's the way it goes. The bigger things get, the more they get watered down. And right now we have the opportunity to keep the quality control high with Snake PUSA and catch wrestling. But catch wrestling is going to expand. It's going to get more infused into grappling more and more. Because why? Because it works. You know, it works. We're seeing it in the highest level tournaments, and people say, "Oh, I don't see it." Well, that's because you don't understand it.
You don't have a trained eye for it. You don't know it.
You're not going to notice it. You're not going to have it. You don't have a clue when you'd see it. You know, but the thing is, guys, and I'll do a quick plug, Emil, if that's okay, is, guys, if you're interested in checking out the catch wrestling stuff with Snake USA, head over to snakepitusa.com. You can check out Sean and mine's bios on About Us and all the seminars we have coming up. We got some exciting camps coming up. Actually, a couple of us are together, he and I, which I love doing. It's we can bounce off each other and do a lot of fun stuff. And maybe one of these days, Emil, you'll join us and have a good time. We'll bring you out. I think it'd be fun, man. I'm all about that. You know, we don't do these. Like I said, it's not a profit thing, man. We're almost a non-profit organization because all the money that comes in goes back into pushing catch wrestling because we have to push Catch Wrestling Magazine. I have to push USA Catch Wrestling. I have to push the International Catch Wrestling Federation because if I don't, or if we don't, nobody else will. So when you guys do things with Snake PUSA, it doesn't go to me buying anything around my house. It goes to catch wrestling.
We're both retired military. You know, we survive. We survive on seminars and private lessons and things like that, just like any other martial arts instructor. You know, and don't think that we only go to like a catch wrestling school. The majority of our seminars are done in BJJ based schools who have adopted the catch wrestling program.
Literally like 99%, if not, I mean, it's almost all of them. Yeah. Even Carlos, we made him a rep coach because it's like. He was like, and my wife came with that. She's like, why haven't you made Carlos a rep coach? And I'm like, I don't know. Because all he wears is snake pit stuff, and he's doing as much catch as any of our coaches. Some of it's genius, you know, because he understands the concepts. So, anyways, I'll shut up. That's all I got to say. Sean, if you got something else, you go ahead, brother.
No, I was just happy to see you guys and be able to talk to you guys. I'm kind of lonely. I'm bored.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Good to see you too. So I just wanted to update everybody that's still watching on the schedule. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, it's 2 p.m. his time, I got Rodrigo Comprido Medeiros. He's a multiple-time IBJJF world champion, Hall of Famer, head of Brasa, kind of a legend. Then Monday I got Josh Palmer, who is one of the most prolific announcers in the game. And he's also a BJJ black belt. He's announced for Kasai. He's announced for Polaris. I think
that dude's cool.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. And then Tuesday, I got Herman Lee from Dragon Force, the guitarist from the band Dragon
That's
Force.
fucking badass.
Is that a rock band?
Yeah, dude.
No way, man. Way to mix it up. That's pretty cool.
They're a very famous rock band. They're fantastic.
I might check that one out.
You'd like them. You'd actually like it.
That's the sounds like the shit I work out to.
I'll send it to you. Then Wednesday, I got John Combs, who's a current elite no-gi grappler. He won the ADCC trials at the last one, and really, I mean, remarkable competitor, great guy too. Then Thursday, I got Andy Rovat, who wrestled on the 2008 Olympic team. Friday, I got Mr. Jiu-Jitsu.
I know who that is.
Andy?
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. And Friday, I got Mr. Jiu-Jitsu. He's a internet personality and a BJJ black belt, just great human. Next Saturday, 1 week from today, I got Joe Baze, who's a legendary leg locker. Just now won a match at Submission Underground. Really good dude.
Dude's a monster. Love that guy. Sweetheart. Awesome guy.
Then next Sunday, I got Eric Paulson. That's my current schedule. Check it out on my Facebook page. And if you guys want to just listen to the podcast, you can check out the BCTL Podcast on Spotify or on Stitcher. I'm putting it up on other sites too as it comes along. I mean, I'm still getting it all set up, but
awesome, bro. Good stuff, man.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, thank you for having me.
We might as well plug Evolution Fight and Fitness just because that's our Snake Pit representative school right there in the Cleveland area, right?
Revolution
Fight and Fitness. George Comer.
George Comer out of Cleveland. He's right there with
George Comer, hell of a guy, great dude.
Yep, legit guy, legit coach, and a hell of a grappler. So yeah, if you guys in the Cleveland area looking for some catch,
I'm at Strong Style, and I frequent down to Columbus. Dan Siegel's Triumph BJJ. I work with Dave Freetag's guys. Dave Freetag's in these gyms that I work with. These guys are not people who are like, oh, it's rude if you do mean things. They're rough and tumble guys. I love these guys. And then
nice.
Also Travis Haynes down there with Mat Lab. He named his school Mat Lab. It's fucking awesome. Beat Lab, just close to it.
I like it.
But
we'll do.
But yeah, there's and like I said before, you have Emil and I at Strong Style. Joel's out in New Jersey. He covers a lot of places down there. But
well, if you guys are looking for locations, just go to the Snake Pit USA page. We have 22 Snake Pit schools around the world. Snake Pit USA schools, not the Wigan no choke amateur stuff. Japan's legit, obviously with Miyato, but you got 22 schools. 6 of them are international, and look them up. They might be closer than you think, guys. Check it out. Check out snakepitusa.com.
Yep, and if you guys want to check out any of my classes, I do some work at Strong Style, and then I also teach out of a gym that
Ground Up. Sorry, Emil, I didn't give your gym. I was like, that's fucking. I was even before I even said it, I was like, and Ground Up.
Tourette. You have such Tourette's.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your Saturday. Hope the weather's nice where you are. And
you too, brother.
Peace out.
Thank you, guys.
All right, love you guys.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for coming on, guys.